There you are.
Here I am live. We're already recording. That's amazing.
Oh, whoop. Oh, it just automatically does that. I'll stop it.
Oh yeah. There I am. Here I am. And here is Sandy Cleland.
One day off a week.
Oh, she's okay.
That's
Donna,
right.
give us your big news. Is really now we're recording. Okay.
So I've always
Welcome.
worked
Hi,
this
Donna.
30.
It's Sandy. She has a sore throat. Sandy wants to know she has a sore throat. Okay.
Oh, very good.
Okay.
Oh.
So Donna, give us your update. All
Yes.
the big stuff.
It's pretty big. So I used to have like Mondays off and then work four 8-hour days. It's actually 8.5 hour the way we work it at work. So anyway, I've switched to 5 days a week, 6.5 hour shifts.
And
So I work 11:30 to 6 every day. And I have every morning of my life
free.
free.
Yeah.
And this is like those memory foam pillows that go.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like in the morning now. It's like, oh my God, no, I don't have to talk to anybody. I mean, obviously I'm talking to you guys right now, but I mean, that I don't want to talk to. I don't have to, but it's just,
Right.
I think this is a big deal. And, think of this, Nikki, and the whole concept of the life force energy.
Right.
The other part is I'm, 8 hours is just too much to do anything except sleep. So even my day off was 8 hours long. And I was like, yeah, well, I don't know what to do with the whole 8 hours, And so, and to that life force energy, okay, my great time of day is about 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock.
Yeah, me too.
Well, that was the 7th and 8th hour of the day. So there was this conflict of, yeah, it's your good time of day, but you have to do it here in this place you've been for already 6 hours,
Right.
So that's when I would start the snack-a-lanch, I call it. Get it?
A snack-a-lanch.
And that
Oh
was
my
my
gosh.
big, like, this something has to change. No more snack-a-lanches. And so I started this, and it's not a guarantee. I mean, it's Halloween week, and so they're everywhere. But I'm just saying, so far so good. Monday, I didn't have any snacks at work. I went
Wow.
down to the gym, and I'm trying to be conscious of my habits in this new setup.
Yeah.
But man, having these mornings to just,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, it's expansive, right?
it's expansive.
It is.
And in the pandemic, I learned, I don't do well working from home, which is this irony that, okay, I'm an entrepreneur and I have a home business.
Right.
But structure and environment is what we came up with. So I work in the office 5 days a week. I have the mandatory return to work is 1 day a week, right?
Right. But you're there. 5.
So now I'm like, nope, all 5. I have no desire to do my day job here in this house. So that structure now, I can lean my business up against, I can do the mornings. I can do something every day. No 0 days.
No
You see
0
how I'm
days.
throwing in all these NW2 lessons, Mickey?
Right. Right.
Sprinkling it
Right.
with,
This
see,
is
I've been listening.
right. I'm like, what a gift. What a gift.
So yeah, no more 0 days. I've already used some of the time in the morning. This has only been going on for a week and a half. And it's already like, whoa, this is good.
11:30. So having to be to work at 11:30 is, it's so freeing. It's so freeing. If you need to sleep, you can, right?
Yes.
If I need to sleep, you can, which I like about that. What I also like about it, if you need to walk, you can. If you need to work out, you can. If you need to run an errand, you can. If you'd like to make dinner early, you can.
Yeah.
You can stuff a crock pot. But you can also, do a little email, and it's that first morning energy that I think there's a lot to say about that,
Yes.
of reserving that very personal part of your entrance to the day
Right.
for,
And
for
it's,
for your own heart.
yes, yes. And it's always been fitting into somebody else's world. And the way, people say, oh, I'm a morning person. And it's like, I'm like, well, I'm a person in the morning. I'm a morning person too. I'm just a person. I'm
Just a
just
person.
a person in the morning. So
Yes.
like, it's a different kind of morning person. And it's what we do every weekend is we just ease on into it.
Yeah. But the ease part, right?
Ease.
Brings this greater sense of ease. And she's going to write that down. Right. It is ease. And what I also like about that from a creative standpoint is it just lets it kind of unwrap a little bit, because you have a little minute to write something down in a journal or to sketch out an idea. Yeah.
Yes. To just, I love to, one of my boss called it, oh, Donna, you have all your little words. Cause I have all these little words all around my cubicle and stuff, like it's not cubicles anymore, but my desk. And so I just like to, start my day with little words.
Yep. Little words, little scraps of paper.
Yep. Yeah, or just the books that I get the little words from, like just those little words. And then maybe I'll take some little words into my day. And also it was that first, people who aren't morning, people who, have a early morning chronotype do not understand what it is like to try to be to get, to function at a time of day where you should be in bed. Well, I guess you guys do understand.
There's Karen raising her hand.
Yeah.
Yes, she knows. Right.
As soon as I
Yeah.
got to be a manager, I changed all the meetings. No, none of them started before 10 o'clock.
Yes.
Yeah. But
Yes.
I do, Jamien's joining us,
Yay.
Good. Yay.
but
So
I can do 8.
Yeah.
I can do 8 o'clock, and I do it for you, Mickey, at 8 o'clock.
I do it for you. Well, notice, Mickey, I did not. I'm like, no, I'm not available at 8 a.m. ever.
Ever. I'm never available.
But I don't usually have to say anything at 8 o'clock if I'm doing something for Mickey. She takes over the talking part, which is really good. So
Yeah.
here she is
I can-
talking.
So I am seeing some motion now in my business. That's good news. Like, how it's been a sort of a languishing hold for many years now. So to see a little motion, definitely I'm in a good mood a lot. And so I think we're going to see some progress now.
Yeah, I think you're going to see a lot of progress right now. Jamie, we see you're walking, y'all. We'll wait for you to get somewhere. Are you going to get somewhere soon? She's so busy.
Yeah.
Well, she's working it through.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Well, until we get you, good morning, Jamie, from all of us. Oh, we lost her.
Oh,
We lost her.
darn.
Okay, well, she'll come back in when she gets into the house. Let's see, it is a little bit earlier where she's at. So no, it's later, maybe.
Later. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, Karen Carson, you want to give us your update? Sandy, you can also just type in your update and we'll read it for you.
Well, I'm taking a class to be able to teach Art Abundance coaching, which is different from other coaching. And it's, so I'm taking that. I'm also retaking the training for Art Abundance because that's the way it works. So I'll be certified at the end of the 12 weeks to actually teach it myself with that. So that's fun. And
Oh, that's great.
yeah. And I'm so sorry I can't go to the Wizard of Oz. I'm so sorry.
You know, someone's gonna go.
I know, but it's not me.
I bought it with you in mind, yes,
I
but,
know, but
but my brothers
so
are coming into town,
they
so.
are. And like I say, we haven't seen Tim for 7 years, so. be
Right,
good.
so, you know, Wizard of Oz.
I still have my Wizard of Oz costume, so I was planning on wearing it, but
Oh, wow, that would have been great.
Yeah.
Well, you can still wear it all day, I guess.
so, and Michael is doing pretty well.
Okay, he's going
Yeah.
through chemo,
Yeah.
so lots going on there.
Well,
I'm
it's a
gonna
lot
check,
to learn.
yeah,
There's Jamie in again.
there's Jamie, and Jamie, do you have a check-in for us? Or do you want to defer? Hey,
Hello.
we know you're in between places. Where are you going?
Supposedly to get a wax that's in a new studio that I can't find the studio, and
Wow. Well, we're here with you. So do you want to give them all your good news real quick?
I'll let good news. We're
Well-
about to we're wrapping up our farm deal in a week.
Yep.
Um,
And that's the hydroponic farm. So
yeah,
if you didn't see pictures of that, they're in our small business cohort. So
Yeah.
I was just there. We touched some tomatoes together.
yeah, and stepped in some vegetarian poop.
Yes.
Um,
This was Jamie's most like, why are you talking about poop that way moment? When the woman who had horses was telling her this is the best poop in the world to step in. It's
And,
vegetarian poop.
It is, because they don't eat meat. And then
Jamie has been sitting with that for weeks. And then when she watched me walk through it, she's like, you know, that's poop, right? Yes, I did.
Yeah, so, yeah, we're a week away from that, and I am November, December, January, February, March, 4 months from being officially done as an NBA and NFL private chef.
Oh, because your sous chefs are working on their stuff. And are they getting their stuff right? How are they doing?
Been actually really good.
See, that's really good.
So,
So you'll get your life to the next step.
yeah, and my kid's doing great in college and finding his footing finally, and he got moved today to a private bedroom and a private bathroom.
Oh gosh, wow.
Yeah, he accepted the move before he asked mom if the extra $600 was okay.
Thanks.
Yeah. So,
Wasn't
but yeah, that's
optional.
my check. Huh?
It wasn't optional. We're doing this. That's what he was saying.
Yes. Well, he posted a video of him moving into the dorm with his friends, and they were wildly unprepared for how tiny it was.
Oh. Oh.
Wildly unprepared. Okay,
And then
well,
he got his microwave taken away because they said it was something out of the wattage. And you know, my son's like a little attorney. So he pulled open his what is it called? Like
The student
book,
manual.
his student manual, and he was like, no, I'm actually 5 watts under it. Give me
Love
my
it.
microwave back.
Yeah. Love it.
that's funny. That's funny. Okay, well, I'm going to start class. So we have a great topic today. And I will start to share my screen. The topic today has a lot of screenshot availability in it. And when I am sharing my screen, sometimes I don't see your chats. So if you are putting something into the chat, sometimes you just got to interrupt me and let me know. This morning I recorded another version of today, so so many times I'll record so Karen will record today's class. And then sometimes as I'm practicing your class, I'll record like a 20-minute quick run through. So there's also that option coming for you as well. And we do have it as a podcast. A lot of these classes we do have as a podcast version on the Secret Podcast. So I think that's another way to kind of go, how do I review this information? Somebody's watching them. Karen, you get the report, but the last one I looked at was a few months ago, and we had 4,000 viewing hours in a month. So
That's on everything though, Mickey, not just Prosperity Habit.
oh, okay.
It's on
So-
everything under your sign on.
Oh, got it. Well, okay.
But
So
it's a
somebody's
lot
watching.
anyway. Somebody's watching.
That's a lot of hours to me.
Yeah.
That's like 2 years of work every month. So, that's a lot. That's a lot of time. So anyway, but they're being used. We're glad you have them, but we're going to keep giving you those options. And I like it. Danny said something to me about going back to review them, that she likes looking at all of us in the beginning. So it helps her see her friends, which I liked. But it also gives everybody a chance to just review the concepts that they may want more on. So today is really around adding social responsibility into your business model. A lot of you are doing that already, but it's a way to kind of bring some more conversation around it. So when we look at, this was the sales material on, right, what was the description of today's class. At the end, I have like a top 10 that I think is super helpful of like, here's the fast 10 things you can probably do, really easy to be more socially responsible. But sometimes it's just simple to go, let's think about this very easily. So what you're seeing is a picture of me, and there's a giant caveman that looks like he's trapped in ice right behind me. And that was the other day, right? This is a great conversation around social responsibility, right? This was going to go into the trash. They didn't want it to go into the trash. So the guy put this, it was a sales display that he made. And he didn't want it. So he brought it home, put it in his garage because they were just going to throw it away. And it was going to go into the landfill, and that freaked him out and so forth. So he kind of made this deal with the parks and said, you know what, let's invite people out in the winter to get out into the parks, give them something fun, bring something into the community that makes a positive change. So when you're thinking about positive change and incorporating how to be in the world a little differently or in greater partnership, it doesn't always have to just be stop drinking out of plastic bottles, right? It can be something that is artistically interesting. So this brought in so many people into the parks. They drove it out a little further, so people had to actually walk in. Donna, this was in your neighborhood. You may have gone to see this. Did you get a chance to go see the caveman?
No,
Yeah.
but it was a theater worth.
It was theater worth.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I've recently discovered that Loppet Trailhead Mill City Market restaurant.
Yeah.
It is my new favorite place. So
See.
that and their goal is get everybody outside. So
Yeah. Get everybody
That-
outside.
is really cool.
Yeah. So it is a way to say, yes, I can. And it's really these small acts of consciousness that I think are how we add to our everyday business. And that's really where I want you to think about this. So if you want to, you have this in your email already, but I wanted to kind of give that fun flair. The way, this is the terminology defined that what is social responsibility. So it is that ethical framework that individuals or businesses have. But I think where it is it's really saying, I'm going to take responsibility. And the other way, the easiest way to understand it is when you are considering things that are socially irresponsible. I think that's where more people are waking up to is what is irresponsible. Minnesotans have a really great idea and a lot of stewardship about being being beneficial to society, where I think they're really looking at it as, oh, how am I actually being irresponsible? And they're seeing that in their food sources. They're seeing that in takeaways, like, single-use plastics. They're seeing that in a lot of things. So when you're looking at that corporate conversation with the business that you're building, is to say, look, how is this enhancing society rather than degrading it? And I think that's a very simple way, especially with the divisiveness that we see, is to say, what is it that we're doing that enhances society and not degrade it? When we talk about social responsibility in general, right, how do we become great social stewards? It's really looking at these 4 levels of responsibility. And so this is where I would often just kind of do a quick screenshot to say, well, these are kind of the 4 ways that they talk about this for business is, environmental, ethic, philanthropy, economic. And I'm going to take this moment to showcase Karen Karsten's new picture. Today's technical, the executive and all-around tech magician is always brought to you by Karen Karsten. Great photo. Karen, you want to give a plug for one of our favorites, or
Yes,
talk
it was
about how
done.
adorable you are?
I actually won a setting with Janine Cole of Block Studios, Block Portrait Studios. She managed to get through the pandemic and recreate a part of her business. And if you haven't had your photo done by her, it's just amazing. You get, it's like you're a movie star. You come in, she got all these lights, and she comes in and does all these other things. And then when she's done, you go into this room, and it's a very comfortable room. There's a big screen up there, and she goes through the pictures. She's gone through already and taken out the ones where your eyes are closed, or you're looking like you just escaped from a mental ward. All of those she takes out of there, and then she takes them across this big screen, and you get to pick which ones you want. And she kind of groups the ones together that are kind of the same. Like there were about 4 shots of this that were kind of the same. And so then we pick the one that you want. And it's really like being, a movie star. It was fun, a lot of fun. And they were all really great photos. And Michael had brought me over there because it's easier to have somebody drop me off than it is to drive and unload everything. And so he was there. I don't have a shot of him, but she took a couple photos of the 2 of us together, which were really nice. It was a lot of fun. So yeah, it was fun. And plus, this year she has photos with Santa.
Yes.
So if you have any thoughts of someone who wants to take their kid to Santa Claus, I thought this is an amazing idea. You don't have to go to the mall and fight all that traffic and wait in line with a crabby kid. You make an appointment to go over there. And she has at least last year's Santa Claus looked amazing. So it's another part of her genius.
Right.
Yeah.
And her social responsibility, right? Of
Right.
saying, hey, let's make things accessible. Let's do some other pieces. Let's get people into the studio. We actually, if any of you are following Janine from this group, you'll see her social responsibility really has
Right.
gone through the roof in this last year.
Yeah,
And
with Demetrius. Yeah.
with
Hamilton.
lots of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that, right, how do we be part of community, right?
Mhm.
So so Karen Karsten brought to you today. Again, because we're watching so many in replay, I just remind people, my name is Mickey Myquirth. I am a business consultant. And if you haven't seen the latest cover story in Pretty Women Hustle, that was my big deal last month. So the terminology I want to talk about again is capital. What is capital for some of you who have been through monetary identity or some of the other classes? We talk about the 10 types of capital. So the way that I want to talk about it in social responsibility is, right, it's anything that can be used for a productive purpose by another company or an individual. So when you think about capital, it's anything that can be used for a productive purpose. Sometimes that's a great idea, right? Sometimes that is just so many things that we bring that we can't even imagine it, right? The capital that Donna talked about, right, that she got back was her whole life by just changing her schedule.
Yes.
Her whole schedule. So the affirmation that I want you to take away today is really this piece of, right, I have capital that can be used to make the world better. And when you're talking about that in a different way of going, I have a lot of capital. I have a lot of capital that can make the world better. And when you start from that point that all of you have a bank full of capital, emotional, creative, knowledge, life history, that you all have this enormous amount of capital that you've built. No one here has less than 30 years of capital building. So, wow. Imagine how exciting you are to somebody who's 22. That they just can't imagine how you amassed all of these riches, right? It's almost an embarrassment of riches. So as a business owner, I need you to take that same concept as we go forward of, right, I as a business have these resources, and that the business itself can make positive contribution, that it can minimize these harmful effects in nature, and that we can be a force for good. And when you look at that in every part of your business, how can you be a force for good? I'll use Jamie's story as an example, right? That she's got this farm that she's closing in on that already has hydroponics, but one of the ways that she can make a social contribution is by bringing kids there to teach them farming.
Nice.
To teach them farming on small scale, right? How can you actually grow food at your house? So, right, there is something that the business itself can do. The current business owner could have done that, but they're tired. They aren't able to do that. So new energy is also a resource that we can bring into existing models, right? How can we bring in new resources that are alive and full of light, that can be excited about teaching a 9-year-old to plant a tomato? So this is the way that I explain it in small business, is I think small business a lot of times has social responsibility really kind of better dialed in than corporate, because they are small, that they are able to communicate with their local communities in a different way. They're living in community. So they have actual people coming in the door, so they understand the topics and the voices and the partnerships that have to be made at that very base of community. So you as small business owners really have some important ways that you see the community differently. I'll use Sandy as an example, right? That she went to this last year, she went to like her local fair. It was like this little Armitage thing, right? Where she put up a table and met people and talked about stuff and had a little giveaway, right? That's something where she is really doing that hand to person meeting someone. She can get a real feel for what are they doing at that park, right? What's interesting about the people that live there. She can physically see the environment and, is it clean? Are the kids playing ball? Are they signing up for stuff? She can really speak about the schools that are in that area as a real estate agent. So when I look at the social responsibility, sometimes it's just tuning in. Sometimes it's tuning in to go, how can I walk hand in hand with my community? When I look at the area of town that you live in, right, that there may be a local bakery, that where Donna lives, the Thirsty Whale Bakery just reopened for donuts. They've been closed for donuts since COVID. So they had to refigure their schedule. So they don't have donuts every day now. They only have donuts 3 days a week, but they're back to donuts and serving the community. And one of the things that they understood was that not everyone in their area had the ability to buy a donut. So they made a coupon section, and when you walk into their donut store, and that so they have like the tester donuts, like the first donut that they pull. So they have some that are just, look, we can give away 10 donuts every day. They just decided an arbitrary amount. And they put up the coupons there. So if somebody's walking by and they don't have money for a donut, they can check to see if there's a free donut coupon,
Nice.
and they can just get one. They don't have any rules, that if you just need that, right? That's where a community can be really dialed in. And that was their way. If somebody's hungry and there's donut coupons there, you can just have one, or you can buy a donut coupon for them to put an extra one up there. So if you go in and you notice that all the free donut coupons are gone for the day, you can just buy 2 more.
Nice.
And you don't have to hand give it to somebody. That the system, the community itself is responsible to caring for the community. We saw this in Camden when we were there, that they had a small town and they knew a guy that was homeless there, and the local, like Walgreens, always make sure that he has personal care products. So they just put a note out at the checkout that says, hey, we need you to buy toothpaste for our homeless people. And people just go, oh, okay, yeah, we'll do that. And then the people can just go into the local Walgreens store because that general manager was paying attention, right? And saying, oh, hey, well, do you want to, and they just put in a box. So if he needs something, he can just go dig in that box. Or whoever is in need, right? To go, hey, do you guys have any of that available? Okay, great. So when I look at this as a journal topic, because a lot of you journal when you're doing this, I would just look at this from a bigger problem. What is a big problem that you may want to participate in as a solution? So sometimes a bigger problem would be kids having school supplies, right? What is the way that my business can participate in kids having school supplies? Or what is the way that my business can solve something that's a much bigger problem? When I think about this, and I think about it as physical action ways, not just money, right? What are the physical action ways that I would like to have my business participate in something that's a bigger deal? And so environmental choices are that way. But that also might mean, lots of things. It can be being part of the conversation. And then my other topic is really looking at those partnerships that your business can create that will also create a solution to a bigger problem. So that might be finding more creative vendors. That might be looking at other ways that people can help co-create with you or make money from what you do. So looking at those partnerships. So for the the farm, right? It may be looking at what are the partnerships that they can do. They have hydroponic organic food that currently is only being delivered to restaurants in a 10-mile radius. So what can they do? Well, one, they can find other chefs that are willing to come pick up. Right. So like, hey, we'll have all your food ready on this day, just come get it. Right. So they can expand organic food to 3 more restaurants. So when you look at that journal topic, it's just really saying, what other way can I do that? Sometimes it's just a tiny thing of your everyday choices, right? Looking at how much recycled plastic there is. We don't see this as much here in the Midwest, but I was just in the South, and they plastic wrap all of their fruit. So you actually don't have like an open thing of apples, that they have like a plastic grouping of fruit that you buy. And so you see this in a lot of other places where they actually wrap the fruit and things like that. So you're seeing people say, look, there's another way to use this. If you're going to do some research on social responsibility in general, this is what you're looking for, is that 3-letter word CSR. And what I like about CSR is it gives you a way to look at how other companies are doing it and it's giving you the way that they're talking about it. And what I want you to get used to is, how are you talking about it? How are you talking about your responsibility? And this is where you should almost overshare. I'm going to encourage you to overshare, because it really does change buying options, that people want to know, why are you doing this? So for anyone who has received an invoice from my office, it says at the bottom of every invoice, you can also mail this in with a check, and we'll take the 3% fee that you were giving to the bank, and we'll use it to give into other projects. So most of the large checks that are written to our firm, all of those people have gone back and decided that if their bill is over $1,000, which is, you know, a lot of people around here, but if they're writing a check for $1,000, they would rather have that 3% go into something greater. And so if they just pay their bill differently, we can take that 3% and give differently by just avoiding a bank fee. And they can just pop it in the mail, because we still open the mail every day around here. So when you're looking at this, this is also where you start to really see the creativity around. I find it inspiring. Adidas made the commitment that in their shoes, they would use, that they would focus in on how to interrupt marine plastics. So they chose that. So Adidas just said, look, let's figure out how we can get as much plastic in this one section specifically into our shoes. And so they just kind of took that out. So you're going to see some people really do some large players who are using a lot of stuff say, wow, we can do that. And they yeah, I think they've done, like, I think they said something like it's billions of pounds of what they've been doing. And so we're seeing a lot of marine plastic conversation, right? That started with one guy, right? With one guy going, hey, I figured out how to rope up that stuff. So, you know, it's fun. So when you look at the social responsibility, I got 3 items here that I think are the big ones for everybody to kind of look at, which is 1, where do you start? 1 is the code of ethics. This is where I would screenshot of basically, where does all social responsibility start? Is it saying, I'm going to take personal responsibility. I take personal responsibility over what I create and what I do. And when you look at that for everyone who is a business owner, that's when it gets fascinating. It becomes a love story. You watch people when they take responsibility for everything that they're putting on their shelves and selling. You watch it become delightful, because they now get to, if anyone remembers when Kowalski's wasn't great, and now you see Kowalski's have a huge ethics conversation in what's the food that they have, how much are they paying, how do they give back to the community. You watch them really take these governing principles, and they are, as a grocery store, teaching social responsibility for free to other grocery stores. So you look at that, and that's because you had a family that said, we need to take responsibility. So when you look at this, this is saying, here's what we're going to do. The other part, if any of you have had your credit cards stolen, or you've had your accounts hacked, this is where we're going to see everybody have to manage the data. You're going to have to manage the data on all of your transactions. Because that is also part of ethics, right? The way we do business will protect you. It'll protect our customers, and it builds respect and loyalty. How did Amazon do this, right? Amazon just goes, if you just return it, we'll credit you before it even, right? So we'll instantly credit you. Airbnb switched that too. So they will just automatically credit that person back if they are unhappy. They don't wait to sort it out with the individual vendor. And neither does Amazon, that Amazon just says, here's your money back, right? The number 2 out of the number 3s here is fiscal responsibility. You have a business, right? Being socially responsible is fiscal responsibility. Number 1, avoiding overspending. But it's really that we have to focus on the integrity of the corporate structure, and that is the primary focus of your business, is to manage the integrity of the corporate structure. So that is, where are you banking, how are you banking, who's your labor, how are you paying them, unemployment, taxes, financial data, that making sure you have budgets and spreadsheets and forecasting. But that is part of the social contract that you have as a business, is that you will run your business not just ethically, but fiscally responsibly, and not driving it into the ground. So if that's also one that if you are worried that you didn't get all the information, you can just screenshot. And we have it in replay. So, and you can always hashtag replay if you watch it again, because then I'll know, because those comments come back to me. The corporate responsibility is also the environment. When you think about environment, I think the easiest way to think about environmental and business is, again, what's your duty, right? Some people have really, right, let's not make more damage. So if any of you have a recycling cart outside, sure, you understand that. If any of you save a box, or like have a stack of boxes that they save because they can reuse that box, especially right now, I watch people hunting down boxes because, you know, they've got holidays coming and so forth. But it's looking at how do you reduce your carbon footprint in general. So looking at environmental may be just to say, maybe we'll cook in more, or maybe we'll choose where we eat from, or, you know, there's many different ways that you can be faced with your own duty. If you have been in the store called IKEA, IKEA has been a large global voice on what that is. So on the next slide here, I clearly recognize that IKEA this is a band-aid to a bigger problem. We all know that IKEA is mass-produced shit, and it's mostly made out of plastic, and it's all gonna kind of come in. But what did they do about that, right? How do they make it not so awful? And what they did is they went through every part of what they are. And if any of you have had that giant blue bag, that IKEA bag, that was in the very beginning, is that they were flat out, we're phasing out all single-use plastic. We're not going to sell it in our stores. We're not going to sell it in the grocery department. We are phasing it out in every aspect. That they don't want frozen foods with plastic in them. They don't want anything in there. And they have a 2030 goal of, we are out of this business of using single-use plastic. Now, does that mean they're out of plastic? No, they make a big living on plastic. And they have to really look at how that is. They also make a lot of wood products that are using recyclable wood. So if you're making something that they believe is gonna be kind of broken into bits, then we should probably use those bits to make a new one. And so they also have done a lot of work on cotton. They have a lot of interesting work on cotton, and they're really working on wool as well. So when you're looking at corporate to do that, it's really saying, how are they doing that? I think IKEA's design department has probably done the most for design in general, of understanding flat packing, right? Everything in IKEA comes in a box. You got to put it together when you get it. So they also look for recycled materials because they're lighter weight. They're lighter to ship across. They want it as small of a packet. If you've ever opened an IKEA box, and it has lots of stuff in it, man, those are, don't lose anything. Don't lose anything. So while it's not perfect that they're making something that's a disposable product, they are looking at how can they be more socially responsible to the whole process. Now, the woman's picture is named Crystal. She is a 20-year military veteran and had a terrible breakup. And so she and I kind of worked on what was going on. We do some work in the community and with women in the military together. And so she's been all over the country, she's whatever, but she had a terrible breakup. And we came up with this at Bachman's about kind of what happened. And it was this concept around, I need to put flowers on my own porch. And this idea of, we've all been through a hard time at something. We may have lost someone, we may have lost a relationship, we may be transitioning, but this piece of self-care is very simple about keeping flowers on the table. And she said, you know what? I have been putting so many things on other people's lives that we're gonna settle. So, and what I said to her was, I'm gonna meet you at this location, because here's the concept I need you to understand. You have to put flowers on your own porch first. And so we went through this day and just kind of created the concept of, how can we invite people to put flowers on their own porch for themselves, to see their own beauty, to have this way for them to create. And, how can we get the flower company to maybe give a coupon? How can we get this going in a different way? Even just to give someone to say, hey, here's something to think about. Let's put flowers on your own porch, so that you can invest in beauty in your own life, and watch something grow. And we all know that growing something makes you feel successful. So it's, when you look at social responsibility, you're going to want to find something that values you, that you are like, man, that's exciting. I can get behind that, because then you have a desire to create change. And here she is taking all these pictures, sending them to her teenage daughter to go, oh my gosh, what flowers what do you want me to pick up for you? Right? What do you want me to pick up for you? And, her teenage daughter is like, oh gosh, and her teenage daughter loves purple. So we had to find purple flowers. But this is a way that now we have this ground level piece of community that is really tracking what is there, right? It's taking other communities, connecting them together, and giving them a reason, not just to be investing in their own community, but to be investing in themselves. And by them investing in themselves, they will strengthen the community itself and build business relationships. And that's really where I think social responsibility doesn't get enough sexy talk. It's really a great concept. Social responsibility is, I think, it's beyond expansive. There are so many beautiful ways that we can build community. And you as small business owners are the purveyors of greatness. So, where to get started, right? Where do you get started? And right, you've heard this from me before. There's a kinder, gentler, thoughtful, more loving way to do business in the world. And if you do it that way, AKA, right, social responsibility, if you do it that way, I really think you'll be more profitable. And I think you'll be more profitable emotionally, spiritually, socially, and financially. So when you think about social responsibility, it's fun up, right? Get more into, why is this exciting? Why is this exciting, right? Donna, with your product, right? Coloring. Well, I can't think of anything more fun up needed. Interesting side note story on coloring is I met someone that my husband hadn't seen since 1966, his childhood friend. And his childhood friend, they'd stayed in touch, but they hadn't seen each other physically. They'd only talked on the phone. And one of the things is that he had an art teacher pull him aside as a young man and said, you really have talent. You should really consider using art as your career. Now, this was a small town of 500 people in Indiana,
Wow.
coloring. And that man, from that one instant, grew up, went to Indiana State, dedicated his life to art. And they were going to take art away from the schools. And he went through his class roster list over 40 years of teaching and said, I'm just gonna see how many of them are there. How many people did the same thing I did? And he had them all write letters of here's how I use art in my career. This is how I give back to society. Art isn't just a topic. It is a social responsibility into the world. And he saved his art item twice. He saved it from being cut out of his budget twice, that he had to go to different council meetings. He had to do those things. And when I asked him, why do you do this? He said, if I didn't fight for that, my whole career was for nothing.
Right.
If I didn't fight for that, my career was for nothing. And so when you look at that on the ground information gathering, right, that's what you're looking at. And that's where he was there, right? It's not just in your business model, what's a production value, because that's where the first place to start, but it's really gathering the on the ground information. And in your business itself, right, people who color have these benefits, right? That these are the other things that they build and grow in the world. But it's also looking at your practices and going, how to intervene. Many of you are doing a lot of one-off projects. So, right, selling this house isn't the same as this house. Building this product isn't the same as this product, but it's looking at your processes and looking at how you can reduce waste, how you can utilize resources differently. Sometimes you'll see me use my photography that I took on my vacation in 20 different ways. So I'll see that same picture in many different ways. So that's about production. When we talked about just this class, right? The production of that class. This is one class, we're going to give it to you in 3 ways, right? We've got an audio of it. We've got this live version that you can have. You've got a replay version of it. And you've got a short, quick recap of it. So you actually have it in 4 different ways. So when you look at product, are there other ways you can use your product? So in how am I going to take this in, right? How am I going to take social responsibility into my own business and my own life? Is I would just take an accounting of, right, because I'm a math geek, but take an accounting of where you could do better. And that's really just taking a little list, right? Where can I do better in being more socially responsible? And so that may be sharing my ideas with people. I've got a top 10 list here, so we can get to that. And the thing I want you to kind of erase from your mind is that sustainability doesn't always cost more. So doing things doesn't always cost more. And I gave somebody, I hooked them on this hot chocolate from Ecuador. And it is $11 a little can. And it's fantastic. And it's
Is it San Jose?
Huh?
Is it San Jose?
It is not. I'm gonna have to find that one. Yeah, so it's this little hot chocolate can. And anyway, they were like, I can't believe you hooked me on this. I said, but here's the thing, you'll use a lot less of it than you did the Swiss Miss.
Yep.
Right. That you just need 1 scoop and you'll have delight. Yeah. So, it doesn't always cost more to get what you need. So there's some other things there as well. If you are looking at where to start, I have the top 2 ways to start. And one of them is just simply raw materials. Whatever it is that you're using as the basis of what you're making or selling, where are those materials coming from? And that's the most simple item. If you're publishing, that's what it looks like. If you are, having seeds, if you're having an Airbnb, right? Where are those materials coming from? And number two, again, is tech. It's all tech. Because it is looking at communication and how technology can make things go in a much easier way. Having people have access to information, right? So when we were just talking about just this class, so we have 4,000 hours of viewing of all of these different classes that I didn't have to be standing here for. So every question that you've ever asked in class, every great, like Janet, who can't be here this morning, right? She's at a pizza party. So Janet doesn't have to miss anything. So she can have and, right? It's not either or. Either I can go to a pizza party with my family at 9 a.m. in the morning. Wow, I need that pizza party. Or I can go to my business class. No, you get to have both and that's how I need you to think about technology, is it's and I can get an answer to my questions, right? That's why we have FAQs. If you want to look at a great way to just go, wow, what can I do in 10 minutes? Start writing out your FAQs, frequently asked questions, and simply saying, here are the frequently asked questions. If you have ever read those, you went, oh, I didn't know I could ask that question.
Yeah.
And it, just an example of frequently asked questions was the cubic interior of a car for dog owners, large dog owners, right? Is this, right, what is the cubic interior and what size dogs will it hold? Something as simple as that. Sometimes I didn't know that people were searching out how to put a dog in their car. So FAQs, that's a simple way technology can help you, but it also enlightens people as to how other people are using that product. That's why we like pictures and Amazon reviews. And now Amazon is asking, please, can you send us a video? Now, if anyone who has a video of that, now they want the video version of it. And that's around storage, right? That's around their tech solutions. They can figure out how to manage that large data. And if you are using products that have, online checkout, so if you're on Etsy, if you're doing those process servers now have an enormous amount of data in them. So you can find out how long does that person spend in your store online? How many pages are they looking at? When do they get tired? Are they actually, when you click on, if you liked this, will you like that, right? There's a whole group of people who love to make fun of Amazon. If you like this, you might like that, right? People who bought this also bought that. And sometimes they make you question the sanity of humanity,
yeah.
Right? That I'll be looking at something that, oh, customers who bought this book also bought this flower pot. Weird. Okay. So tech is where I would go. This is my favorite little quick fast bit, which is, right, the easy things that you can do, right? The 10 easy things that you can do. So this is where I would look at, screenshotting or just picking what worked for you as an idea. And the first one is, right, is start buying from your friends. Stop buying, mass produced junk and start buying stuff from your friends. We see so many in the last 10 years, Etsy has put more small businesses out into the world than anything ever in history, including eBay. So Etsy has produced more small business owners than anything ever, period, globally. And what it does is it gives that creator a way to, right, create at their own pace. They don't have to have a big store. They don't have to have a brick and mortar. They get to have all of it done for them. But if that person makes 10 hair bows, then they can sell 10 hair bows, right? So it gives a consumption model and a creation model that's really interesting. And so if you're going to look for what's one of the 10 ways to socially give back, is to buy from your friends. find out what they're doing. And we see this started actually within the last 5 years, where you invite people to make a post, and then they say in the comments, if you have a store that you love, that's one of your friends, that my friends should know about, put it in the comment section. And just inviting people to kind of have like a Black Friday shop local conversation of, oh, hey, my friend Susan makes bath salts, and my friend Joe makes these great pieces of furniture, right? That you know, my other friend sings, my other friend makes pies. That just those pieces, right? Stop buying it and start buying from your friends. We saw this with Sandy, right? Which is, you know, a heroic effort of the pies, right? To have a holiday pie, right? Not buying mass-produced junk, right? It's not Harry and David's that she's delivering. She could have made any financial choice. She could have made any financial choice. So that's one of the ways of building community. And that's why I say, all of you small business owners, this is like the supersonic awesome, because you have this ability to always find the featured guest expert in your neighborhood, right? That if you pay attention to what is there, you know who is the featured guest expert in your hood, right? You know that great donut store of the Thirsty Whale. You know that great photographer over here. You know that this is the hidden gem down here, and there's this park here, and there's this, you know, thing here. When I went to see Jamie in North Carolina, right, she knew exactly the restaurant I needed to go to. And she also knew when there was on sale on what we wanted. So we were able to have oysters at $1.50 each, as opposed to, you know, double that. So remember, you know the guest experts. And so take that knowledge and share it. You are the resource share. And that resource share, if we keep doing it that way, we'll see sales come in that are new and unique. And it also lets us cross cultures. So that part I really appreciate. For those of you who might know Sarah from Miter Box, we have often, she's a framer. She works with a lot of artists and a lot of interesting pieces. And she also does a lot of curating. So she will do big projects because she has her own building staff. So they build all of their frames. So, and she's been doing it a long time. So one of the things that she made a decision about in Holiday Help is that she would really invite artists to come work for her during that time. They can have flexible hours, they can learn new stuff, but their biggest give is that those artists can have all of the scraps from the frame building, section. So, and it's like really great, expensive, fantastic things. So if that gives them that opportunity. So now you have what is a win-win for the customer is you have an actual artist who can help you pick a frame for your art. So that somebody that can have that conversation with you. They can tell you about why you don't want glass to touch that piece of foil, or what that is like. Right? So it's a win-win for everyone. So when you're thinking about social responsibility, get into the sexiness of it, that it is quite delicious. It's actually not just a topic where you have to kind of give yourself, no, you should be better. Nah. You don't have to keep giving this negative vibe. You can say, what would be the funnest, most delicious thing we can offer? And how can that make the world better? And so, right, then there's these other simple things, right? Looking at ground delivery. When you buy from something that has moved across the country on a truck, it is still a lower carbon footprint than having it sent over from Ecuador on a plane. So when you are looking at things, you know, really adopt a ground delivery mentality. We are working on another project, and we've done the carbon footprint math, and it's crazy. It's crazy. We have a big thing on fashion going on right now, and to just reuse one piece of clothing, one garment, to have it have another life, ship it across the country and back, to use it in a photo shoot, still costs less of a carbon footprint of putting it online, having a staff pack it up, putting it into a shipping container, shipping that container across the country on a truck, and shipping it back to its original location to be used again, still uses a lower carbon footprint than somebody buying a pair of underpants. And that is crazy. So when you start to look at that carbon footprint, one of them is using ground transportation. And ground transportation is changing drastically because we're having more and more electric. And that is, I just came from a long trip across the country, and we see them really changing out those engines quickly. Another way is if you have physical space. If you have an office, or if you have a building, how can you utilize that, and how can you invite people to your space differently? What we did with the law firm is that they had a beautiful boardroom, lots of space, and said, look, why don't we look at how you can utilize that space and let parents have meetings in there, like a parenting group or a grief group or something else? How can someone come into that space that can utilize it and build partnership for the greater social good? So sometimes it's just looking at what makes sense. They are a family law firm, so that's why we chose family items. So how can we support families when things are going good too? Not just when they have to have a divorce, or when they have to have a name change, or when they have to, adopt a baby or whatever. So this one is a lot like the miter box piece of giving what you no longer need to someone who needs it. Aldi did this because it was a trash piece, and Walmart has another kind of conversation around it as well, where Walmart's actually doing some interesting pieces about they don't want as much packaging coming in, but they're also saying, why wouldn't we just send our own packaging back to us? Why don't we just put the box together ourselves? Why don't we put it together once and then set it over here and repack it for a second time, right? So Aldi, if you've ever been to this grocery store called Aldi, they take all their boxes of all their canned goods and stuff, and they set it out and people can use it as their shopping bag, right? So giving what you no longer need to someone who does need it gives it another life. This is another easy way for social responsibility. We had a neighbor that was just moving out, and she's like, look, I'm going to sell this house. Do you guys want to come get all my stones out of my garden? Something really simple, right? That's going to save everyone. But the resource itself still gets to be utilized for the beauty of the larger environment, right? So she's not going to have that beauty in her yard because she's moving. Well, let me give it to the yards that are near me, so that enhancement gets to stay in the community. And she gets to enjoy the fact that people she loved are using her garden stones. So it doesn't, if whatever that is, we see that a lot in the city, where you can put out something for free, right? You can set it out on the front deck, put a sign on it for free, and suddenly it's gone. So sometimes it's just taking what you don't need and giving it to someone who does need it. This we saw again with Janine Marie Photography is, right, how can you invite your social network to be a partner in change? She just point blankly said, look, she knew that I had a huge school supply drive that we were bringing to Chicago, inner city Chicago. For those of you who are not familiar with inner city Chicago, there are some neighborhoods that are really, really, really dry on resources. So we had, with Project Elf, we had somebody who could go in and deliver those items. And she said, look, just, give us all your school supplies. So and any great school clothes that you have. So what we did is we took all of those school clothes, we put them in Ziploc bags, we washed them, made sure they were clean, and then people could just pick them out, knowing that they were secondhand, but they had that option, right? That maybe I will have a secondhand pair of jeans. jeans are the number, because of their color and the way that they are processed, they are a huge polluter. Jeans are like so environmentally naughty. And they're also really durable and they're really great product, but they don't get used enough. So giving jeans back another life is a big deal. So we were able to take, in just that one offering, we were able to take almost 400 pairs of jeans over a whole school year and give them a whole new life. So now we have a very different conversation. So when you look at what you want to invite your networks to, it may be to say, hey, if you have art supplies you're not using, let's have an art exchange, right? If, you know, we're going to have an art exchange party, bring all the stuff that you bought that you were so overly optimistic on and give somebody else a chance to create with it. We also did that same thing where we did that same ask when the teachers were on strike and had somebody put all these art kits together for all these kids whose teachers weren't in school and they weren't in school and their parents really didn't have much to do. And we brought those art kits, probably about 100 of them, into the inner city and gave them away. And I'm not kidding you. I thought, wow, these are the best art kits because so many people are overly optimistic about what they can create with. And creative people love to hoard art supplies. They they love art supplies. Socially, fast 10 ways to give back is really looking at natural resources. It's super easy to buy fake flowers, but you know, buy some real ones. That fresh flowers aren't like anything else, right? Buy a real plant. I went into somebody's house during Halloween and I thought, oh, wow, look at all these succulents. And she goes, yeah, not one of them is real. And I went, oh, okay. Thinking what's going to happen to them later, right? So looking at one of the ways that you can look at is using real things, real live things, natural resources. Use your farmers markets. We have a new thing that's been happening. This is going on in Austin, is they're host a lunch from a farmer. And the local farms will come in with produce and other things that are kind of like ready salad kit kind of thing. And the local farmer will kind of put together what would you call it? Kind of a smorgasbord of fresh organic fruits and vegetables that you can make into a lunch. And they'll kind of deliver that to a business and everybody can kind of make their own. So there's lots of interesting ways to harvest ideas, to harvest actual foods, to take the things that are in the land and do that differently. We have a small florist that's not that far from us, and we had another one that was in Maine, where they just take all of the ones that aren't perfect, all of the flowers that aren't perfect that they're going to sell in their $15, $25, $80 bundles of flowers, and just these small kind of imperfect ones or the extra trimmings, and they make these sweet little child-sized bouquets, and they just put them out, and they put them out there to say, and just a note that says, free, have a nice day, right? This is, again, how do I take something that's a natural resource, it's going to move into another person's life, and utilize it more efficiently. And what that does is it saves their garbage, one, that they don't have as much garbage in the garbage. Two, somebody has something very nice. And now we have a different affinity to that business. And so social responsibility, again, right? This is the strength finder of this topic, is to go, how do we take vision and voice and leadership around this topic and make it kind of delicious, kind of delicious. When we look at the financial support that you can bring to people, it is, you know, that's what you can bring your dollars. They are votes. So when we look at that, I really encourage people to shop vintage. We're seeing so much go on in vintage. We're seeing people reuse things. We're seeing them tear them apart, rebuild with them, using wood, right? We have a local wood in the hood. Wood in the hood. where if you have a tree that you got to take down, you can call them, they'll come down and take that wood, and then they'll repurpose it into something for your life. So they'll make you a bench or make you a table or something out of your wood, right? How can you use that differently? How can they save those big, beautiful elm trees that are just going to get put into garbage, right? So how do we actually give honor to the things that are there? But the vintage pace where I'm seeing it really play out is in those of you who have physical stores. So we see you reusing everything from mannequins to things that you put stuff on. So store displays. We see a huge change in all of the major stores. If you've gone to a mall lately, you're seeing a lot of reused topics. So they're really saying, look, even our store displays we're going to put vintage in there. And so they're buying a lot of that. We see it in Airbnb. When you look at the Airbnb that I just showcased of the Girls from I Like You in Northeast Minneapolis, that all of that whole Airbnb was vintage reused. They put in fresh wallpaper and some other things, but they made that vintage statement of we will put in the highest quality secondhand items that we can and make it really fun. So we also see it in event rental. We're seeing a lot of event rental that are saying, look, give me a really interesting vintage couch to put out for my guests to sit on. So you're seeing people move that. So even if they're moving it on ground in a truck over there, it's still less than having someone make a new couch for new rental. But Airbnbs, we're seeing it. It's unbelievable how many Airbnbs are taking on the vintage piece and the office refresh. We're seeing a lot more offices use secondhand office furniture. So when you look at those shared spaces, they are really taking it on there as well. We see it a lot in something as simple as the coffee cups that I was just at a shared co-working space, and they that's their kind of their claim to fame is they have this entire wall in the end of their meeting room, like the big open space, and there's probably 1,000 coffee cups on there, and they hung them up as the decor, but you can just go pick out your coffee cup, and their staff will wash them at the end of the day. So it gets a design in the day. They'll sometimes put all just green in one section. They'll play with them as an artistic motif, but they're all reused coffee cups. And that was just one way, right? Let's not buy all new coffee cups with our brand on it. Let's buy coffee cups that are already out in the world and make them really fun. And invite people to go, oh, I can't wait. Oh, this is the cup I have today. And now people can buy into that conversation. And what has also happened is they kind of became the home for weird coffee cup, right? But they had to talk about their mission. Please don't buy us a new cup unless it's been reused. So don't buy us a cup. But if you find a cup that's already out into the world, these are the things that we like about it. We like it not chipped, we like it this, and we like it a little sassy. And because we want you to be excited about it. And there's only one. So we don't need a set. Don't bring us 10 cups that look alike. We don't want any lookalikes. So, it can be exciting and adventurous in that. Another good way to give back is volunteerism. Volunteerism can look like anything. These happen to be just volunteering from a race that we were at in the middle of a desert, and other races that we've done here in the city of how can you bring back and focusing in on things that are important to you in the world. That may not always be something that is for the betterment of all humanity. Sometimes that's just, can we maybe all go work at the carnival at the local preschool, right? We had a K through 2 school that invited all of the artists that they have a school trip down in the lunchroom, And so they close the lunchroom off for a week. All the kids have to eat in their rooms. And they're going to have this imaginary school trip in the lunchroom next Friday. So they invite all of these artists to come in, and they're like, hey, we're going on a trip to Trinidad, or a trip to Paraguay, or a trip to whatever. And all these people came in and just do this huge fun thing. They pick out the music and the books and the stories and whatever, and they're just going to volunteer their time to take kids that are 5 through 7 on an imaginary trip in the lunchroom. What a blast. And the kids can wear outfits, and they all dance and they sing, and this is a fun day. They got a whole vacation. What a fun way to think about geography, math, right? Social studies. There's so many fun ways to do that. So when you're looking at the ways that your staff and you can volunteer, be reckless, be a little wild abandon, that you can do things that are really fun, not just, smartsy smarts. We talked about at the very beginning about using your piloting skills. Every single person here has 30 years of experience out in the world, and you got smart. You just happen to get smart. So I would think about the ways of giving back are really looking at what you're good at piloting. One of the things that I've encouraged a lot of small businesses that kind of don't know where to start is I would say, would you have benefited from canoeing in the Boundary Waters? And one of the things that we don't see enough of is hosting kids that are in the Boundary Waters, and especially children who don't have the means, but that don't have parents that are outdoor people. Their parents aren't going to go do that, but their parents would still like them to do that. So giving that piece, so a small business saying, let's adopt one kid in a year and send them to the Boundary Waters, and it's a $2,000 trip. It's a $2,000 10-day excursion that they will remember for the rest of their life. So sometimes it is to say, what are the skills that you can pilot forward? Can you share something that you already love? Do you love the outdoors? Do you want to have just a hike day? Do you want to teach somebody how to use TikTok? Right? Do you want me to show you how to use your phone? There are so many ways that you have really smartsy smart stuff. So think about just even that simple item. Going back to the art teacher that my husband had gone to see, his friend from 1966. One of the interesting things that I said, well, what made you guys stay friends? And he said, well, Mark would teach me everything. That the reason that he loved his friend so much is that he taught him everything, that he would sit with him and help him do his homework, that he would help him build things. He would make kites. They made kites and kites and kites and kites and kites and kites. And they would make it so that their little army guys could go up in a kite, and then they would find a way to release the guy so the guy would fly down, right? Like, these are piloting skills, just the fun things you know how to do. Some of you know how to cook, some of you know how to sing, some of you know how to do lots of things. So when you look at the ways that you can give back and be socially responsible, it's really to say, what are the things that I already know how to pilot? How can I teach somebody else how to do that? And sometimes that's teaching other people how to think about money. Sometimes that's helping people think about creativity. Sometimes that's helping people think about that the land is important. Sometimes it's helping people think about the fact that, you might want to know a kid who knows how to mow a lawn. You might want to teach a kid how to mow a lawn. You might want to let a kid use your lawnmower. So there's lots of other things. As I kind of close up this concept, I said at the beginning, you want to overshare. This is where you want to overshare, and you want to overshare on purpose. You want to talk about why you're doing those things. This is how we teach other business owners, is to talk about why they do it. It's the why, it's the value. It is to say, we want to walk hand in hand with our community. That we want to walk hand in hand with our community. And sometimes that hand in hand is by grabbing them and taking them into a new dimension and showcasing what a new dimension looks like. Sometimes it's as simple as, I want to share sweetness, right? So when you start to look at the things that you're creating or doing, you want to overshare the why, because that part of showcasing change is how it's able to repeat it, right? We learn by watching. We as adults learn by watching. If you have ever watched a YouTube video to learn something, you learn by watching just as much as a 5-year-old. So we learn by seeing. That's why cooking shows are great. That's why DIY stuff online is there, right? That's why Pinterest is amazing, right? Showcase your change. Someone wants that, and it allows it to be reproduced. It allows us to create it again. If you've ever watched a process through time, right? If anybody remembers making holiday ornaments as a 7-year-old in the 70s, it's gone a long way since then, right? That holiday ornaments now, wow. I mean, like, who invented the glue gun? Thank you, Jesus. Oh my gosh, right? You're not making that. You have an enormous amount of knowledge. So if I were going to kind of give yourself a task list, it would be to go, what's the knowledge that I have that would really be a partnership for people in my community? Because that doesn't cost you a thing. You've already paid for it. It's already paid. It is, how do you actually deliver it out? And sometimes that's just something as simple as, this concept that Jamie and I talked about, right? A pot in your kitchen, right? Let's see what's there. For those of you who have stores, I really encourage you to, I think this is the last one of my top 10, but to post events that people wouldn't normally see. So when you, and do things that are a little bit weird. We talked at the beginning, right? I'm going to see The Wizard of Oz on the big screen, and why not, right? But if you have a physical store, or you have things that you see that other people might not know that that's cool, post them out, and especially things that have cultural significance. We see a lot of stores. This is one I think is super, super cute, is that the high school has a play, and the high school play has a ticket price, and that ticket price pays for that department. So all the stores in town have put in to say, we will help you sell tickets. So they're not just going to post it. They put a note in your bag that says, you're invited. You're officially invited. We'll be there. So the first thing that the store owner did is say, I'll be there too. I'll go to the school play. And suddenly now you have, again, this superpower where everyone in that area went and saw that play. So they supported their school. They supported their drama department. They had the ability to do the play more days because they sold that many tickets. Oh, well, do you want to just buy a ticket? You can buy a ticket here. You can buy the ticket here at the local whatever store, and this store, and this store. We remember you used to be able to buy tickets at a record store for a concert. So when you look at the things that you can co-create with, it is to invite people to things that are unique and different, but also things that are culturally significant. So I see this a lot in musicians that, boy, I'd love to see their gigs get more people, because I'd love to hear that voice in more different ways, right? So think about that on how you can invite that. This is SomFam, which a lot of you know that I work a lot with. So these are the girls from the Somali items. So we have this, we do a lot of events with them. We get them together and do things. And what's very interesting is the things that they're interested in aren't always the same things that I see in my everyday piece. Social networks that can cross over it's harder and harder to do that, because AI is actually making your life smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and more confined. It's not actually widening. So we have to physically do that. And so what ends up happening is something that I'm going to learn in one place. I can only learn it by being in that place. And so introducing something to a new concept, to a new cultural cycle and into their network is really meaningful. So it's not just, hey, come to the school play. It's, hey, I'm inviting you person, to come to the school play because you don't have teenagers. You need to come see teenagers. You need to see that energy. You need to support them. You need to be in that, right? We need to watch them, how hard they're working in the vending machine and pouring you an orange Kool-Aid, right? We need to do that. And we need to know why someone's doing, why they're interested in this type of henna on their hands, or why they want this thing, or what's, why is Amway so big in Somali communities, right? Wow, who knew that? Why? Because that's Amway's way, right? Because they can get inside a culturally confined group and they can sell in a way that Amway itself can't, right? So you see these other things come in, right? Melaleuca did that. Avon did that. We have, right, this social network, and it's really that mutually beneficial reciprocity. And so we can expand culturally the mutually beneficial reciprocity. So if you ever have, Jamie, I watch you do this with sewers, right? That you've had things sewn by people that are not your average sewer. So there's lots of other ways to kind of do that. So I guess this one is my last one, maybe. Use your creative talent to produce for product placement. So, right, how do we make something that's different? So these are a deck of cards that we're using for vision boards. These will be out at some point here, but it is to say, how do we take these ideas and now put them in product placement differently? So I'll use an example that Jamie made a card game that was on an airplane, right? So she's like, let me use this product, let me create this, and then let me sell it to my friends, right? Or let me create this and let this person sell it. So many times you see a lot of artists that are creating product. So they're maybe making cards, maybe they're making decks. We see a lot of deck making right now. Lisa Kindle has a new deck out on the Life Path, Color Life Path. So again, using their creative product and doing different product placement. So it's saying, here's what you have. So if you have a coloring book, can it be a coloring book? And how can you use it in these 10 different ways? So that's another way to be kind of socially responsible. It's using your actual creative ideas and talent and putting them in different product placements. So there it is to the end. Oh, what a lot of ideas. So I'm going to come back to us. The piece I want you to remember is your everyday actions are the change. You are the change, right? It sounds silly, but you're actually the delicious. What I want you to remember is you're the delicious part of this, because everyone that is connected in this group is forever clever. So you always have great ideas. You always have ways to kind of make it better. And I also know that you're all overachievers. So we have the journal topics from the very beginning, but you also have, right, this very simple thing that you can do is the 10 things, right? 10 things you can do that don't take you a lot of time or effort. So I would start to kind of make that top 10 list. Here's something that doesn't take me much effort at all. And something like that might be giving an explanation of something. We are seeing far more on the Airbnbs. We are seeing a link where you can meet the host. So the super hosts now have a link where they can explain to you why they did that. And oh, here's this. And especially in those vintage houses, they're doing them that way. If you saw the Magician's House here in Minnesota, it's a 45-minute video on his whole property, which is crazy. If you are interested in the fashion piece, again, this was in your email invite, so you have that already in your inbox. With that came this one in the inbox for those of you who wanted to pre-do it, is looking at the fact that 60% of clothing that is manufactured today is not biodegradable. So it is a huge glut. So if you thought plastic was something, guess what? So is every piece of clothing that's sitting in your closet. So it's not biodegradable. And that's a problem, right? They're bailing it and sending it all over. But we're going to have a cloth problem. And that cloth problem has been a lot. So we have another project called Closet 80 that it's going to take us a couple of years to build. But that's a creative project of how can we solve something that's bigger. But it's also, right, looking at the other ways that you can think about being socially responsible as a consumer. And what does that look like? And maybe that bothers you or not. That just like plastic isn't, neither is the outfit that you're wearing. So I'm going to stop share, open that up. Boy, I forgot to tell you to put all your contact information in. So please do that. That was a lot of content. I know I harbored you huge. Sandy, you're going to have to, we're going to have to put you in the chat box because I know you don't have a throat. But Sandy's big news was, right, I'm on track to have my best year ever. Now that's your third best year in a row, by the way.
Wow.
Intense, getting caught up, got sick. So there you go. All is well, but happy. All right, Jamie, what was your big takeaway? This was a lot of content and you had a lot of pieces here that you already do.
So in every one of everything that I do, it's very important for me to my community involvement engagement. My whole motto is taking care of my community, and that my community has what it takes to rejuvenate, revitalize itself and whatnot. So every project that I do and everything that I do, I think about how does this project give back to my community, and starting with, and when I say community, I start with my community, my home community. So me, my children, my family. Then I think of my community that my children, my family, my friends, but then the community, the wider community, I think of the African American, the Native, and the Samoan community, because those are a part of me. And then from there, the community as the world as a whole. And I'm consistently thinking about, am I doing things that produce something for the next? Am I doing things that take care of those that are already here? Between my family's group home, between the boards that I sit on, and between charity work that we do, and creating things in every business. It is something that will continue to be a part of what I do on a regular. So I just take away just how do I do that even more in this, like listening to this, just how do I do more of that in other ways too, and just really just kind of reiterating this is something that I do very, very well, is giving back and taking care of my world. Yeah, and it's important that everybody that I work with and do business with also feels the same way, and that we can still make money and be successful, but also give a lot back to the community, and is what we're doing and what we're creating, making for the communities, such as the farm. But even in cooking, I'm not just walking away from my clients. I've created an avenue for kids who may have never been introduced, and young people who have never been introduced to being a private chef at a high level, giving them the opportunity to get their foot in the door where they wouldn't have been able to get their foot in the door for many, many reasons, and still be, and being able to just filter them and teach them, filter them, and giving them something that they couldn't even earn going to culinary arts school. And so that's a big thing. The farm was completely based around social reform, social justice, and also taking care of the community that's there. But then how do we also change our environment around us by teaching kids that you know, your food kind of stinks and it's getting stinkier as the world goes on. And that you can create a little small garden right in your backyard next to the Starbucks and move into that type of way. So yeah, we're very much this is engraved in me.
Yeah. Donna, what's your takeaway?
Well, and yeah, so much of what like that this is very much in line with how I view the world, and you know, like all the ideas and the trademark. Hi, Nigel.
Here's Nigel sleeping all morning.
What a beautiful dog.
Yeah, this is the smallest you'll ever see him.
Ah, very nice.
But he was
Aw.
so nice to sleep during all of our class today.
Yes. Oh, just that, like, you know, all the little kids stuff that I could make. I don't want any of it to be this plastic shit that ends in the ocean. I just really want to be extremely strategic about using sustainable materials and recycled materials and recyclable materials in the products that I make. It's just people just aren't thinking enough about it. And I did already, like, I made a sustainability contract with the artists so that they also
Oh, that's
receive
great.
some of the benefits of this. I didn't just take them for what they could give me. I'm like, no, I want you to share in this bigger picture. So that's built into my business. And then just I'm educating myself about the corruption of the soccer industry. You know, the World Cup this year is so depressing. And I'm thinking of boycotting it just because it's just a new level of corruption
Oh.
and sadness and human sacrifice. So anyway, that's there was a line that I liked as far as the takeaway. Sustainability doesn't have to cost more. I think that people are like, well, sustainability is some sort of sacrifice. And it's like, no, it's win-win. Figure it, just think hard enough about it, or ask Nikki and you will come up with a and you know, yeah.
And yeah. Karen, any takeaways from you?
Well, they're all takeaways for me. I've had a lifelong interest in helping women, period, and helping them realize their best selves, and to know that there's a place in the world for everything. And I have been a spokesperson for mental health for 30 years or more, helping people understand people in their family or in the society who are not mentally fit, but who have lots of things they can offer. And I think the sustainability part of it it's always amazing when you think about things that can't break down, and people break down,
Right.
you know, why do these other things not? And I was thinking in particular about things that we buy for children that are toys that are going to outlast that child's lifetime.
Yeah.
Wow.
And not
Yeah.
be usable anymore, but they're there. I think about, you know, the gyms that they have for their backyard that are made totally of plastic, that really it's going to last several lifetimes in the dump. So I think being a little more, maybe the wooden one is not as cute as all these plastic colorful ones, but it does degrade, and it's you know, there's lots of areas that we just don't think about.
Thank you.
I love that, Karen. People break down.
People break down.
What?
I had to hand Nigel off to go to the bathroom. He just woke up.
So Mickey, tell us about that dog.
Well, first I'm going to give Sandy's things. So we have a dog. So one, I think that's Sandy's pieces are right on, right? Her takeaways are the FAQ list. The FAQ list, I think, is a really fun one to consider. So I really like that. she already does secondhand shopping, furniture, household items. And her thing is, I want to think more about what I can do in this area. So yes, so that was your Nigel visit. So yes, my husband had to come home from his trip with a puppy.
What?
Yeah, so he needed a puppy. So we had to, so he was, while I was working in North Carolina, that he was finding a puppy.
Wow.
And there it was. So, when you need something, you need something.
I was surprised. I thought you
me
were going to
too.
get a dog. Oh.
Me too.
So
Me
I
too.
just had an idea, just that you guys know that I've had a rough couple years as far as getting inspirations and acting upon inspirations, and kind of been in a place of languishing. And it's just, this topic is near and dear to my heart, and I would say that it's kind of like if I'm having a lull, I could just think about these topics and it makes it more exciting, like that it's not just to help to go. Yeah, I don't know. It was just an idea that I just had, that these are juicy, delicious topics.
Juicy. Yeah.
And this is a great way to just like a little carrot to kind of, come on, think about it from this angle and see if there's some additional inspiration, like a form of capital.
Yeah.
And I think
It's-
about you and Project Elephant, just distributing what people can't use, but they don't know what to do with.
Yeah.
So, and giving to someone who does know what to do with it.
Yes.
And I don't think
Yes.
people think about that. When people move out of this apartment building, of the three of them, the three buildings, they have a free table downstairs where you can tell that someone's moving. And they have so
Oh,
much
then you guys can just pick up their stuff.
Well, it's mostly stuff that I wouldn't want either, but when I think about you and how you have people that might want it,
Right.
it's too late. I can't, I could grab it and hold it. Like they had a wheelchair there that was, almost brand new. And I thought, I might know somebody that would know that, would need it, but I don't know how. And so you go down and it's gone. So people do grab them. But there's
Yes.
a lot of things there that they, I don't know what they do with them, but a lot of them are things that people never opened. They had it there and they never opened it, but they had to go into assisted living or something, have to get rid of all this stuff. And their kids come in and clean out the house and they say, what the hell is this? So there's a lot of things that could be distributed that people don't know what to do with it. Like the medical equipment, you can't resell that. It's illegal.
Right. Jamie, did you have something to add?
Yeah, no, I was saying that I every year I get pictures from Ruben's Montessori. Montessori's do these treks at different age groups.
Mhm.
In junior high school, in 7th and 8th grade, in Montessori, they do 100-mile bike ride.
Oh, wow.
And for my autistic child, they didn't have a bike that could fit with him because he afraid of bikes, needed tandem bike. So I found out that my insurance would pay for the tandem bike. All like this.
Wow.
Well, the first one was a trike. So
Right.
it was a trike. So my insurance paid for like this $4,000 trike for him. My doctor figured out a way to get it written. So then when he finished 7th and 8th grade, he was like, yeah, I'm still not riding a bike. And then I instantly said, well, what am I going to do with this $4,000 trike? So I donated it to the
Right.
Montessori and said, if there's another kid who's afraid to ride a bike. And then I called my insurance company again and I said, hey, he's older and needs a bigger trike because there's some bigger, taller kids like him. They gave me another one and I just gave it to the school.
Right.
And so every year they always have a child who's either afraid or a child who has a disability or whatnot. And then I found some used tandem bikes and gave them some tandem ones. And there's a feeling that I feel like over and over, my son's one issue is now
A solution.
benefiting all these kids that may have not been able to go on the 100-mile bike trip, because that's what it was for me. I was like, well, no, he's going on this 100-mile bike trip. I'm not sure how we're going to get there, but he's going to go. No, it's
Right.
6th, 7th, and 8th. So 6th grade, he did ride on the tandem bike. They come back laughing to me and they tell me that they asked Ruben, how was the trip? And he said it was great trip. And they were like, well, Ruben, it was a lot of work bicycling all this. He was like, I didn't pedal. They pedaled up front. There was no reason for me to pedal.
Oh, no. Oh,
So I got the trike the next year so he could pedal.
right. Right. You'll have to pedal. You'll have to pedal.
Yeah, but it's that feeling of like, for years and years to come, there's going to be 4 children who will get to ride a bike that maybe never got to ride a bike, or was just plain and simply afraid. Like Ruben was, it wasn't enough balance for him. So then he got to experience going on, accomplishing something else. It's like that recycling feeling feels really good, because I get a picture every year from them of the kids who got on the bikes.
See, that's fun, right? And that's where, right, this I think when you talk about social responsibility to other people, that's really where I'd like you to take it, is the fun of it, the fun of the values, right? Of maybe having flowers on your porch, to having a tandem bike, to having pies, introducing people to a pie maker. You know, there's lots of other ways that we can do that. And then I do want to put in the Carlos Diaz Ensemble. So I would definitely post that on the NW2 link. You know, we do have an NW2 piece. So the people that weren't here, would love to see them as well. If
I
you
just
go
wanna
back and
say-
replay, something
just
like
wanna-
that is perfect to put in the comment section.
I just want
Karen?
to say that as you become less physically able, and all of you will, you realize more and more how difficult it is to get around in places that you've always been to, but you didn't realize all these little things that make it not impossible, but very hard.
Yeah.
Stairs
So-
that don't have a rail. I mean, all kinds of things that you know, you talk to the owner and say, you know, I really can't get into your store because you don't have a rail on your step.
Right.
You know, there's all kinds of things that happen because, you know, you're a person, you're going to get older. So, you know,
Yeah.
it's,
So not
not
even being
everything-
disabled, just being less able.
yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a really great comment. Okay, everybody. Well, thank you so much for spending this time with me today, and being part of our topic. And doing so many great things in the world. It's, you know, can't do it without you. Can't do it without you. Any last words, Donna? Anybody? Last words?
Just thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for being with me.
Great.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.